Hey, everybody. It is Janet here for our weekly Thursday, only we're doing it on Wednesday this week, training. I am live here on the Facebook page, and I am about to talk to you today about a really cool subject, right? Which is creating that life of freedom that you want by using rituals, which is a whole different thing. So I'm going to give it a minute here just to make sure that everybody who wants to be here is getting to be here. And I see that Susan is here. Hi, Susan. Let me know if you can hear me okay, please. And okay, I've just lost myself now. Where did I go? All right, me and my technology. One of these days, I am going to get this all figured out. Susan is saying, yes, you can hear me. Cool, I'm happy for that. Kind of got a mess over here today. I don't know, I'm not usually so messy. I got my microphone today too, which is a little bit different because I'm usually using the headset. So, okay. I'm just bantering, a few minutes, trying to use up a little bit of time here. And anyway, so hi, I'm Janet Clark, and I am the CEO and founder of The Freedom Shift. And I am also the high ticket sales matchmaker. So it's all about being able to get your high ticket sales sold by a sales professional who has been through my HeartFlow sales process. And that is what I do, is match people up. So it's exciting, and I'm happy to be here. And so every week I come on and I do some sort of a training program with regards to sales. And as most of you know, my acronym for sales is sharing a life-enhancing solution. And most of the people who are following me, who will be watching this, and that's probably you are either somebody who is, well, first of all, we know you're an entrepreneur. And so it's important to you that you create something that is your own. And so you're not interested in working for somebody else, you're interested in working for yourself. Now, you may be a coach, you may be a consultant, a service provider of some sort, or you are a high ticket salesperson. So regardless, this is who I'm talking to. So last week, if you joined me, you knew that I was talking about how to create your life of freedom in 4 different areas. And I talked about relationships, wealth, personal, and business as being those 4 really key areas that we would want to focus on as we looked at what does it mean to create our own life of freedom. Now, today, I'm going to teach you something that I've learned as an entrepreneur. Now, I've been an entrepreneur now almost 20 years. So I had my own business after I left the corporate world. It was a B2B sales agency. And then for the last 5 years, I've been in this awesome world of coaching and consulting. And I've learned that there's rituals that are really important for us to put into our life that are going to really help us to create the success that we desire. So the rituals are a lot more powerful than many people realize. And I know that, if you're shooting from the hip and you're not, it's kind of like making a plan, right? This ritual or these rituals that will really work will be things that we do consistently so that we know what we're supposed to do every day, like at least the way to start the day. And that will create this sense of having a program or a plan or a structure. So a lot of what we do as entrepreneurs is a little bit unstructured, but the rituals kind of ground us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, what is a ritual, right? So a lot of people think of that word as being, and even if you look it up in the dictionary, right, it's a procedure that can be religious in nature, or a process that may be a religious rite of some sort. So I want to get us away from that thought about anything being religious. However, because what I've come to understand is that successful leaders all practice rituals, and they don't have to be religious rituals, right? They can be rituals that are just processes that they go through. And the rituals that I'm going to be talking about are spiritual in nature, but not necessarily religious. So people like Richard Branson or Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey, Howard Schultz, who's the CEO of Starbucks, all some sort of daily rituals in order to set themselves up for success. And typically, these are morning rituals, morning routines that become very essential to who they are and what their goals are and how they're going to make an impact in the world. And these are the things that I have found that really work too. So, I'm not going to tell you that your ritual has to look like my ritual, but what I am going to show you is what needs to be included in it when you create it. So the first thing that you should know is the purpose of the ritual is mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, because it requires you to be very intentional and very deliberate in what you're doing, as opposed to just a habit. So you might be in the habit of getting up in the morning and drinking a cup of coffee and reading the newspaper. That might be a habit, but a mindfulness ritual is something where you're bringing in other aspects of your being into it. So you're bringing in your mind. So it may be some form of mental work, emotional work, writing, physical. These things it kind of encompass the whole you into the ritual. So mindfulness is a big part of it, so that you're not just doing something by rote. And the secret is, and the purpose and why it's called a ritual, is because consistency is a huge component to making these rituals really work for you. So when you do something consistently, you will have a greater success rate with it than if you do it randomly or sporadically. So what I'm going to share with you today is what is the basis really of what has worked for me. And it is how I spend each morning. And it really revolves, I can't get the words out right today. It revolves around my listening to my inner voice. Now, again, I'm not going to talk to you about religion per se. I do personally practice some Christian rituals as a part of my morning routine. However, that part of it is only one facet of what I have, how I create my routine. So for you, it can be spiritual, but it doesn't have to have any aspect of religion in it. And I've talked to a lot of different people who are Buddhists or Jewish or Hindu or, all different types of religions, Christian, who have some sort of a way that they connect in with their higher power, a God, or whatever you want to call it. So this spirituality, Oprah Winfrey, I was listening to a talk that she did back in 2017 at Skidmore University. And she said, there is no life without a spiritual life. And I happen to truly believe that. And what she was referring to really is this ability that we all have to get clarity about our own true purpose and our own true calling, and how we can take our own individual and unique person, fill that calling within our own soul. So if this is stuff that kind of like doesn't resonate with you, then, it's just not going to resonate. But I think for most of the people who follow me, and people who I've talked to, whether you're salespeople or coaches, and you kind of are in my tribe, you know that I'm pretty big on the whole spiritual thing, and that I truly believe that we do have the ability to change the dynamics of the results that we get and create the life we want, which is really what the freedom shift is all about, right? So creating that life of freedom first requires you to be able to get in touch with what does that even mean to you, right? And who are you as a person when you're trying to create this life of freedom? And so for me, the spiritual component of it is a big part of it. So we are in this age of transformation now. So we've kind of moved from the age of the information age, where now we're all in information overload, and we're now into this age of transformation. And this transformational economy that we're in, it's interesting because what is happening is that traditional jobs are moving away, and many of us are starting to realize that we can create whatever job we want. And many people across to this realization that their work and their life do not have to be separate, that they can really integrate the work that they do with their calling and their purpose, and it can be part of leading a very fulfilling life. And so whereas we used to have the 9 to 5, from 9 to 5, I belong to someone else, I'm doing something, and it's not necessarily part of, giving me meaning in life. It's putting food, clothing, and shelter, taking care of those. But now in this age of transformation, we have this new ability to be able to say, you know what, we can make a living and monetize our own gifts and talents. And we can make an impact in the world while we're making a living doing that. So I feel so happy to be kind of on the cutting edge of this new transformational economy that we're in. And you, as a coach that's selling these high ticket transformational programs, have this ability to really benefit from this new age that we're in. So if you are a coach or a consultant, you will be able to create the business that you want if you can figure out how to incorporate these rituals into your life that are really going to make things work for you. So the world is changing at a super fast pace, right? Things are happening really, really fast. And the only thing that really is constant is that part inside of you that is your essence. And that is the constant amidst all the crazy changes that are going on in the world. So if you want to know how best to cope and to create what you need for yourself, then you need to be able to go inside and really get in touch with your essential self, or that inner voice that's within you. So there's many different terms, right, for the word ritual. Now, some people will call it their prayers. Some people will call it meditation. Some people will call it contemplation. And it doesn't matter really what you call it. The word that you use for your ritual just doesn't matter, because it could be a combination of all of those things. And, my morning ritual, I'm going to do, it's a combination really of writing and praying and meditating. So I kind of flow through this little process every morning. And I've learned more, literally learned more about myself and experienced more business success from this practice than from any book, any training program, or anything else that I've ever tried to learn from, right? So as you know, I'm a big believer in constantly learning, improving my mind, and working with coaches and taking courses and continuing to develop my skills. But that alone does not make me a successful entrepreneur, right? So all the learning in the world does not really come down to what is it going to take for me to really go out into this world and successfully make an impact. How am I going to help others transform if I don't know how to transform my life and create what I want out of my life? So I have found that there are 3 key components that must be included in your ritual. And you can know what they are because they are A, G, and E, which is the word age. So they are easy to remember because you can think about the transformation age, and age is the acronym for the 3 things that need to go into your ritual. So the first is, the word A is acknowledge. So no matter how successful you are, how many people you have working for you, how many clients you have to also acknowledge the fact that you are just a small part of something a lot bigger. So we live in a huge universe. And as important as we think we are only a small part of that. So this acknowledgement is that there is a higher power. There is outside influences that are creating part of your reality. And so acknowledging that these things are out of your control is one of the most important things, right? So yes, as an entrepreneur, we do want to learn how to control what we do and create and manifest things, but we also have to keep higher power there. The second part of acknowledging is also recognizing that you are making a choice every single day to serve others, and you are making a choice to make an impact in the world. So this is not something that you can forget, right? You have to commit and acknowledge that every single day because that's your purpose. And you have to really be confident in that purpose and have conviction that what you're doing matters. So that's all part of acknowledging. And then you must also acknowledge that you control your thoughts. Now, granted, we all have these little voices in our heads, and they come in and they say crazy things. And sometimes they say mean things. And sometimes they tell you you're crap and you're an imposter and you can't do what you're trying to do and you're going to fail. But we have to realize that we do not have to entertain those thoughts, that we have the choice to reframe every single thought that comes through our head, and that most of them are not true. They're only true if we believe them to be true. So I remember quite a number of years ago when I was first learning about metaphysics. And one of the things that I read, I don't remember if it was Emmett Fox or which one of them it was. But anyway, it was talking about you can literally cancel thoughts if you're mindful. So when something comes into your head and you decide that something is crappy or somebody treated you bad or something's wrong or you're a failure or whatever you want, you can literally say, cancel that thought. And you can decide to make a new thought, right? So I think a lot of people are victims to their thinking. And instead of recognizing that these thoughts can be reframed and shifted, and you can change them. And so the final thing in acknowledging is to acknowledging that what you believe to be true is what's true. And if you don't believe it, then it doesn't have to be true. And so you can actually make those changes. So how you believe in yourself, how you believe in your business, how you believe about your clients, who you're going to attract, all of that is a part of what you can program literally into your own mind. And again, if you've never done any of this work, it's you have to start somewhere. And so I actually have a process to help people to do that, which I and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But anyway, so A is acknowledging. G is gratitude. And I think everybody has heard it a million times. Gratitude is the balm that heals everything. And it will totally shift your life. And most people don't really give it the attention that it really requires. So it is important every single day to be grateful for what is right in your life, for whatever the wonders of the world are that are striking you. And you need to look for those things. Like, I know I'm preaching right now. I can just feel it. Like I'm telling you what you should do, what you need to do. And it's probably not the best way to train, but yeah, thanks for the hearts. But the thing is this, it works. So I'm pretty passionate about it. And I have to, sometimes when I talk like this and I'm really going on a rant, it's because I have to keep reminding myself of these things too, because these are super important. There's always, always, always something to be grateful for. And when you look for them, you will find them. And so the fact that you get to be grateful every day, and I get up every single morning and without fail, I start writing and I find the things to, I wake up and I'm cranky. This morning I was a little cranky because my husband put this new alarm system in the bedroom and it was like, had these crazy lights that were shining. And every time I walk by it, it lights up and it was doing these weird things. And it was like not the thing I really wanted to wake up with these lights blaring. I felt like I was, under arrest or something. And I'm really exaggerating. But anyway, the point being that, I felt a little cranky. But when I start to sit down and I get my paper in front of me and I start to write, I don't focus on how I'm feeling in that moment. I focus on what was good about yesterday, what really worked well yesterday, what made me feel good in my heart, what makes me feel happy about my family, what makes me feel happy that I'm up and I'm healthy and I get to enjoy my coffee in the morning. So gratitude, even if you do nothing else in the morning, just sit down and write out a gratitude list for not what's coming, but what you have already. And then the things that, all those blessings that you get to count, because you do have them. I know I've never talked to anybody who can't come up with blessings that they have in their life. And, we live in a world that is full of abundance. We really do. I mean, if you're not here in the US, but you're in all these other countries of where my clients are and where we're, selling these transformational programs, you're blessed. You're so blessed. We have wealth, we have health, we have access to all kinds of joys and happiness and, just a sense of well-being. And so for us, if you're on here, I know you have blessings and I know you have things to be grateful for. So take that really seriously. If nothing else, if that was your only ritual, do that. And then the third thing is envision, E. E is for envision. This is where you get to decide what you want your life to look like. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish about asking the universe, God, the higher power, whatever you want to call the higher power, for good things, to actually deserve those things, to feel like you deserve those things. And when you're ready to receive them and you feel worthy, you will get them. So a lot of it has to do with the the willingness to envision yourself having these things and manifesting these things and successfully achieving whatever goals you want. And truly, you have to be specific, right? So you want to have a detailed description of what you want your life to look like. Now, this is what I call the morning manifesto. People who have been through my program have been through this training exercise where they get to actually create the version of themselves on paper, and they can read it every single day. And when we do that, we look at a couple of different areas. We look at the way that we want to think and the way that we want to co-create and the actions that we want to take and what we want our actual lifestyle to look like. Excuse me, what freedom really means to you in your life in each one of those areas, what you want your relationships to look like. All of that is extremely important, and what you want your legacy to be. Like, why are you here? What difference does it make? So if it doesn't make a difference to you, then it's not going to make a difference to other people. So you decide for yourself that you want your life to make a difference, and then go about and make that happen. So look, the most important thing that you can do every single day is have a ritual and include these three things. We're in the transformation age. So remember, age, acknowledge, gratitude, and envision. Put those three things into your ritual and figure out a way. It doesn't always have to be writing. I mean, you can have recordings that you listen to where you're talking to yourself while you're out exercising, right? Because it's really important, the things I talked about last week, to have all these different areas met, the needs met in all these different areas. But today I'm just talking about what you really want to put into your ritual. So, look, I've seen people who have, put out desires, right? Where they're trying to say a prayer that they close that big deal, or, that they actually get their bills paid this month, or, that they're not going to make a big mistake, or they're not going to, or they're going to beat out their competition for something, and those are fine. Those are kind of in the moment things that we're asking for. And I think it's always great to ask for whatever we want. But what you really do, and whether you call it prayer or whatever you want to call it, what you're really doing is you're disciplining yourself to really look at the way that you want your life to turn out, right? So you want to every single day determine how you want to go into your day, how you want to be thinking, how you want to perform, what you the purpose of what you're doing is. And so when you dedicate a ritual to this every single day, worrying about it for the rest of the day, you've already set your intention. And that's very grounding for people. When you do this also, like I found when I write, very often things get downloaded that I wasn't expecting. So I'm just writing, and all of a sudden something comes through that's a great idea, right? Or an answer to a problem that I have been trying to solve, that if I was sitting there just diligently trying to figure out how do I solve this, what's the answer, may not come through. But when I'm not necessarily thinking about the problem and I'm thinking about what I want the end result to be, all of a sudden the steps become very clear to take to get to the result that I'm trying to get. So look, you don't have to be a religious person. You don't have to spend a lot of time worrying about, what your ritual is going to look like. You just have to decide that you're going to do something and combine those three things into some sort of a format that you could do every single day. And it doesn't have to be hours that you do this. I mean, maybe you write for 10 minutes, maybe you do a gratitude for 10 minutes, maybe you sit there and you meditate for 10 minutes. But whatever you're doing, just make sure you're incorporating those three things. And I guarantee you, I guarantee you that you are going to have a totally different result, a totally different outlook on life, and you are really going to experience the true joy of being in sync with your own inner guidance. And that's really what this is all about, right? Is tapping into the inner guidance, the essence of you in the higher power of you. Because of course, we know that the divine is within. So yes, there's a universe and there's a lot going on in the universe, but there's also this divine spark within us because we are a creation and a part of the universe. So anyway, I'm getting a little too deep there on that spiritual stuff. But anyway, that's my message today. Make sure that you put some sort of a ritual in place to decide and manifest what you want in your life. And I will be back here next week to share with you some other little tidbit about how you can share a life-enhancing solution or get better at sales, in other words, with other people. So thanks for showing up today. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and I will be back. So bye for now.